Hey, crypto heads, it's the Goose with the Cryptic Paranormal Show. So excited to be on tonight. Can you guys all hear me okay?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Mama Santori, can you hear me? Yeah?
She's muted.
Oh.
And so is Biggs.
Wait, hold on. There we go. Sorry.
Got him. So we're down a couple people right now. Michael Heisenberg cannot make it tonight. He ended up having some fatherly duties to take care of. Completely understand all that. So he should be watching at least a little bit here and there. Hopefully he'll be sending us some comments. Maybe some stupid questions, you know how Heisenberg is. But yeah, and Justin Brown will be with us in a little bit. He's a softball dad, so he's on his way home from softball practice. And Tina, unfortunately, is feeling under the weather, so she was not able to come tonight. But we got us. It's going to be an awesome time. We got Denise in the house. How are you tonight?
Very good. How are you?
I'm awesome. Ashley Storm from Profoundly Paranormal. And
oh, were you waiting for me to say it? I thought you were going to do it. I didn't want to be rude. And Storming the Unknown. Woo.
An awesome podcast. You guys got to check it out. Got Mike Bigley, a brother from Columbus, Dark Alley Paranormal.
How's it going, Goose?
Good, buddy. Good to see you on.
How are you for having me?
How are you doing tonight?
Awesome, man. Thanks. How are you?
Good. I'm hanging, man. We're doing the best we can, right?
Heck yeah.
And then our mad crude mama, Kathy Santori. Hello, how are you tonight?
I'm fine, thanks. How's everybody else doing? Good.
You're magical.
Okay.
Magical?
Magical.
Awesome. So we're just kind of chilling out, having a good old paranormal hang, paranormal roundtable, if you will. We are looking for your questions. We will answer anything. Doesn't even have to be paranormal tonight. We're just going to get weird.
Good.
Like my thing.
Yeah, right. Ashley is the one who said we got to get weird. So I'm like, all right,
Real weird. With a T, so you know it's going to get serious.
Oh yeah. So far we got Papa Guido Santori. What's up, brother? How you doing, buddy? We got Chris Rowan tuning in. What's up, brother? And Michelle Millions. Hello. So yeah, how is let's go around and introduce ourselves for people who may not know us too well. Denise, give us you're a co-host, but everybody kind of knows you already. But go ahead and introduce yourself. Let everybody know who you are, just in case they have any questions for you and what you do.
All right. I am Denise, or D-Nice, or D-Unit, depending on who you talk to. Been a volunteer at Madison Seminary for 2 years now. That's just starting to venture out into other places, but so far the seminary is pretty much it.
Yeah, how did I know recently you just kind of documented your little trip to
yeah.
How was that?
That was fun. That was fun. Oh my gosh, it's beautiful. It's so and huge.
Yeah.
I was not expecting it to be that big, but
that's what she said.
Right?
Yes.
But it was weird because even as pretty as it was, like I didn't have that feeling like I had the first time I went to Madison where like I have to go back. You know?
Yeah.
It was nice.
It was nice. It was nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
That place is amazing. That was my first actual like ghost hunt. Oh, there he is.
Yeah.
What's up, brother? Now that is weird.
Tony's like, did somebody say we're getting weird?
Let me just put this mask on and show my face.
Right.
Or not show my face. Love you,
yeah,
Papa.
I'm definitely excited to get back there and do a ghost hunt sometime. But
there
it was
he
nice.
is. Put the mask back on, man.
That's why I put it on to begin with.
I'm surprised that beard fit in there. My God.
Yeah, no kidding. Got Brian Baum from Bearded Paranormal, who, by the way, will be a guest on July 16th, day after my birthday.
Ooh.
So we will be seeing him and a couple of his crew here. So that'll be cool. But yeah, Mansfield, totally amazing. The first public ghost hunt. First ghost hunt period I ever went was a public ghost hunt at Mansfield, and we had an
Nice.
amazing time. And you talk about how big it is. We were there with probably like 90 other people, and
Yeah.
we hardly like saw anybody while we were doing our thing. Like everybody was really cool, just kind of like branching off into different locations. And I mean, we crossed a group maybe 3 or 4 times the whole night. It was pretty
That's
amazing.
crazy.
Yeah. So, and you could spend, like, we've done private hunts there, and I don't think we covered maybe a third of it.
Right? I don't know how you could.
And I was so dead because we're zigzagging all over the place. We're not like really doing anything efficiently. Like,
Yeah.
oh, let's go over here. So you'd hike a mile over to the other end and then back here. Yeah. It was nuts, but it was a good time. I'm glad you guys had a good time. So I hope
It's fun.
I hope you get to get back there in the dark.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. Next to you, we got Ashley Storm. Ashley, why don't you give us your origin story? Tell us where you came from, how you got into this weird stuff.
My parents, I think, might have gotten drunk on New Year's because I was born in September. So,
Nice. I didn't mean that much origin story. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I like detail, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess what got me into it the most was having experiences with other tour groups and stuff, and seeing how, I mean, you've heard this story before, just how it was ran and the way that they were interacting with the energies and spirits. I mean, people just aren't aware of how intense and how dangerous sometimes it can actually be, and not dangerous in like the crazy demonic sense that you get from unpossessed Zach Bagans. But it's more of a spiritual danger, it's a mental danger to a lot of people.
Sure.
And so I wanted to teach people how to do it respectfully and responsibly, because I've dealt with it my entire life. You guys have heard the story. I've just been a weird little shit ever since I remember seeing things and not ever really speaking about it because it was very taboo. And I told y'all about watching The Sixth Sense about Haley Joel Osment. I was not trying to get like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nested by telling people, hey, I see somebody standing behind you over there in the corner.
Right.
But I'm happy that I found, or that I kind of just stepped out of my comfort zone, because I found amazing people to share this weirdness with, like you guys. It's been a wild ride so far.
Awesome. We got to figure out a way to like meet each other person to person, and we can all go. You got to come up to Madison Seminary.
I do.
There you go.
I was trying to come out for MadCon, but depending on what TC's work says, because he finally just went back to work. He was furloughed, and he just went back yesterday.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
depending on what that schedule is, we're going to go, and that's going to be my birthday present, because my birthday's on the 21st.
Nice. That would be an awesome birthday present.
It would.
That'd be like the best ever.
I deserve it.
That'd be like birthday and Christmas combined.
Right.
No, I still get a Christmas present. Don't be putting ideas in people's heads, Goose. All right.
Real quick, Michael Heisenberg is watching. There you go. Ray, you know damn well I sent you a written statement. Until you provide me with a hairstylist and an intern, I can't possibly be on a live cast. I'm afraid of ghosts. Oh, good
Just
Lord.
one ghost.
Just a ghost. Which one exactly? We've seen and heard so many. Then Brian Baum said he'll do his hair on July 16th. Good stuff. So we got Mike Bigley, our man from the Columbus Dark Alley Paranormal Group. How did you get in? Tell us about yourself and how you got into this.
Yeah, so I think it was roughly 5 years ago. I knew this girl, and she invited me to come ghost hunting. I've always been interested in it, and now I'm married to her and been doing it for 5 years.
Good catch.
I'm a certified molecular biologist, so I have a pretty strong science background. And we try to debunk. Is that
for real? You really are that?
Yeah, I'm nationally certified now. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
Thanks.
I took science in high school.
Yeah. So we take a very scientific approach to everything. What can we debunk and what's real?
Yeah.
It really leads a lot more questions than answers all the time, and it's fascinating.
Yeah. That's awesome, man.
That's very
Come
cool.
hang out with us a little bit more up in Northeast Ohio, because everything's a ghost.
Yeah, right.
We don't have the science background that you guys do. Well, maybe Michael will say he does, but he's not here, so he doesn't. But glad to have you on the show, man, and we love working together with you guys. Hopefully we can do that again soon. Once this mess that's going on in the world is starting to tone down a little bit, we'll get it going.
Yeah.
But yeah, good to have you on the show. Mama Santori, Kathy Santori. Hello. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into this and your background story.
Well, mine is really kind of sketchy. It's all over the place.
It's sketchy.
It really is.
You said the magic word.
So yeah, it really is kind of, because I've been up and down with it so much, because devoted so much of my life to other things, and I guess I'm almost when it comes kind of manic. I'm always busy. I'm always doing things. I just sometimes go until I drop, and I'm getting older, and I drop a lot faster now. So I do what I can, but now I'm retired, and I started kind of getting back into it a little bit during retirement. But it's been pretty cool. But the Mad Crew, is like, I feel like I'm home there. So they're like safety zone. Yeah, definitely.
It's like a big family, isn't it?
Yeah, that's my place to go where I can calm again and know that okay, now it's time to relax. Of course, I have my home now because of things. It's prevented me from running around as much as I used to, but I'm still running a lot, especially now that we're free.
Right. Yeah.
So, So I've been doing a lot. I had experiences when I was a kid. Oh, it's so funny.
I was laughing at Bradley's comment. I'm so sorry. I can't read on.
He's going to be doing this all night.
I know he is.
Why didn't you just come in, dude?
Right?
No, we're just kidding. We know you got stuff going on. He said,
sorry, Kathy. I didn't mean to interrupt.
I think I've been on that bus a few times.
Heisenberg said he has a strong science background, or strong background in science. Wait, what? He has a strong science background in science. Yeah. I've watched Mr. Wizard in Magic School Bus. All right, yeah. Nice.
Oh my God.
That really helped.
Yeah.
I can taste. Some people can hear things. I can taste them. They taste like I don't know, like Cracker Jacks with peanuts.
Did you just say your taste ghosts?
Not ice. Taste the ghost. That's what I do.
I've never heard of phantom taste before. That's a good one.
And for it to be Cracker Jacks of all things in the world, and with peanuts, like that was very specific. Like not the without, with the peanuts, that little extra on top, y'all.
Got everybody laughing. Sunshine Angel said Kathy is funny. Love you guys. Oh, that's good. So, Kathy, has this been this gift of yours? Has it been with you since the beginning, since you were small, or is it something that?
Well, it was really hard on me when I was small, and I've been had a life like everybody else, very dramatic life, with a lot of things that happened to me. So, dealing with the trauma and trying to deal with spirits that I was seeing, especially as a child, was not cool. So I had to learn to shut all of that down. So I did, and it really helped. School helped a lot, and I like to get out with my friends a lot.
Yeah.
And have a lot of fun and eliminate the trauma in my own fun ways. So I had a great time with my life, and I wouldn't undo 1 second of it, even the trauma. It's just amazing. And the spirits are with us all. I feel like they're with me all the time. And I feel them. I feel their presence, and I see their presence. And when I meditate, I really connect very well. Maybe it's a history of having so much fun. I don't know. Buses and all of that, but I really feel like that's the thing for me. It's that connection. I really love it. I love being just aware of awareness itself, and just sitting and meditating on that, and then sometimes asking the questions. And it helps me. And this is why it's so nice to be retired, because now I can spend a little bit of time on myself.
Yeah.
Given my whole life. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, spiritual stuff. Wow, we've had some really crazy stuff happen. And you know, spirits are a lot of fun. They like to throw things. When we moved into this house, they would be throwing the ornaments from the tree. We just constantly see them laying, down in the middle of the room somewhere where they didn't belong, And at that time, we really weren't even, I don't even know if we were doing anything like that. I think I know that we went with Tammy once. And, then other people started saying, well, okay, you went with somebody now, so people started tagging along with others. And we knew Michelle Bellinger, but we never really got, into any ghost stuff with her, because she does other things as well. She does like energy work, and she has her own group and all of that. So we never did anything like that with her. And so when we went out with Tina and Jen, and then met you at Madison.
Yeah.
That was our experience. It was great. I'll never forget coming out on our anniversary, August 9th.
Yeah.
To do what? To connect with spirits. And at that time, I wasn't really sure how to connect, because they were always scary when I was a child, and I tried to avoid them. But things have changed quite a bit. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I've been around you when you're connecting, and it's an amazing thing to see, because you're pretty you're pretty gifted.
Oh, well, thank you. I don't feel that I'm any gifted than anybody else, but I've had things happen too that I don't really like. When I'm put on the spot, like on camera, I'm in that room where that lady was murdered. They thought was buried in the floor, and the dogs, the one I'm talking about.
Yeah.
They stopped at that area, like, yes, there's something here. I'm in there and I'm on camera, and they're like, what do you hear? And I'm like, well, I'm hearing some guy telling me, shut up, there's no murder here. Why would they tell you that? Because obviously something happened over there,
Right.
That's totally what murderers say.
Right.
I never.
Nothing to see here. Move along.
I didn't do nothing. So what happened was.
Still trying to get a hold of it. So thank you for that. I feel like I could definitely use more work personally.
Yeah, it's been a weird journey for me, because I started off with a group that basically all we did was try to debunk everything, which at first was interesting, and we were I was learning stuff. Like I was learning the difference between what may be paranormal and what definitely is not. But it got to the point where I was having experiences and feeling things and hearing things that I knew 100%, like in that sixth sense of mine was definitely not of this world. It was definitely paranormal. But that's when things started getting really just bad for us, because the guy who ran the group was like, oh no, you're seeing things, you're hearing things. And we would spend hours. We would have an experience, and we'd spend the rest of the night in the same area trying to debunk what we had just experienced.
Nice.
Instead of just checking it off, like, we can't explain it, that was amazing, let me tell the world about this awesome experience I had.
Right.
We can't talk about that wasn't real. We can't say that was evidence. We don't call anything evidence. It's all it was just to the point where, like, I believe in doing your work and debunking things, and like trying to figure out if that big knock that you heard was coming from something electrical or man-made. But yeah, at some point you got to open yourself up to that experience and just understand that there are things that are beyond this world.
Right. Like, what are you doing even investigating if you don't believe that there are things beyond this world?
Yeah.
What are you doing there?
Yeah. Why? You have to have a healthy balance of skepticism and belief. Yeah. You have to leave yourself, to enjoy it anyways, for most of us.
Right.
I don't know where this guy was getting off that everything had to be debunked. And, it felt like he had like something, he almost had like some kind of weird agenda against all the
think he was racist against ghosts?
He was a ghostist.
A ghostist.
A ghostist.
He was a racist.
It sounds
Ghost
like
lives
it.
matter. Ghost lives matter. Or ghost afterlives matter. Ghost afterlives matter.
say that one thing. Hopefully.
But yeah, I mean that's how it started for me. And then eventually, when I found Dark Alley, we started working with Aaron. As our group, we started working with Dark Alley, and we're like, we kind of like what Dark Alley's doing.
Yeah.
So we started kind of talking to him behind the scenes, and when we just fed up with our old group, we're like, how do we get involved with Dark Alley? We're ready to make the jump because we got to get to somewhere where we're appreciated, our experiences are, what's the word I'm looking for? Just understood or just believed.
Right.
And so Aaron, the founder of Dark Alley, actually he started in Columbus. So Mike is actually the central. He's like in the main group, the main Dark Alley. We're just a little offshoot up here in Akron, Cleveland area. But he's like, why don't you guys just start your own chapter? He's like, you can use the Dark Alley. I'll hook you up with a website and everything. And we're like, sweet. Right. And then we just built this. We got rid of a couple of pieces of cancer in the group. But it all worked out because now, me and Heisenberg and boss man Kate, and, the rest of us, we got Sean Gilmore now in our group. So our group is amazing. And it's like, we do the work, we do the dirty work to make sure that we're not putting out false evidence and things like that. But we allow each other to experiment with different, technologies, different spiritual methods of investigation. We believe each other when we say we had an experience.
Right.
And, through all that, I've been becoming more, I guess, sensitive is the word. Definitely feel like I'm on like this crazy empathic journey where I feel energy, like when I walk into a room. And I started testing that with technology, and lo and behold, there's been several times where I walk into a room like, man, I do not feel good in here. They'll bring a millimeter in or, something like that. And well, not Heisenberg's millimeter because his never works anywhere. I'll bring like the EDI device in or something.
Nobody likes him. I'm just kidding. We love you, dude.
Brad Heisenberg just said he wants to join the group. No, sorry.
No.
But yeah, I mean, it's been amazing. I definitely feel like I've been coming more in touch as I've been doing this, and I've been allowed to experiment and feel things now.
Yeah.
So it's been a pretty awesome journey. What about you, Mike? I mean, I know you come from the scientific end and you do a lot of debunking work, but do you have any kind of connection with spirit? Like, do you feel things? Do you see things and do you allow yourself to, do that?
Oh yeah. So honestly, I feel like almost any evidence can be debunked to a certain extent, but it's really if you go out in the field when the real paranormal begins. Mm-hmm. There's certain things like your mind can, like when evidence is presented to you from someone else, it's way different than when you just had a recording and you go back and listen to it right away and you hear something and you're like, oh my God, what was that?
Yeah.
You're like, I didn't plant that there. But, there's a certain belief that everything's fake at first. And then eventually you're like, oh my God, like there's something here. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's there's always wrestling between, and sometimes, evidence can be fake and it's not based on the person that's doing it. It's just, you didn't realize that the wind was blowing and hitting a certain crack or something, something weird.
Yeah.
Right.
But there's always those times of doubt. But when you're there in person, and like there was one time there was 8 group members. I was the only male. We were sitting downstairs in the Gale house, and a guy came over the microphone and just started like cursing out this lady like that was running the place with us.
Wow.
Because she was actually down there with us. Yeah. And I played it back, and it had been 20 minutes later, and I was like, I'm the only guy here, and like this guy's plain as day, like modern English, just like talking, trash about this lady. I'm like, oh my God, I don't even know if I can play this for her because like it was pretty graphic. Like if I didn't capture that myself, I would have thought that's completely fake. You just had a voiceover, So there's always evidence like that, but I mean, there is a certain leap of faith unless you go out yourself and just and start investigating.
True. We did have a question from Brian Baum from Bearded Paranormal. He wanted to know if any of us ever have used the Estes method. Now, are you guys familiar with the Estes method?
No.
It's based. Okay.
Yes.
I know, like at Madison, they call it. What do you guys call the sensory deprivation experiment?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So basically, you're listening through. The person is holding a spirit box, and they're listening through usually noise canceling headphones, have
Mhm.
some kind of blindfold on, and they're just kind of saying what words they're hearing coming through.
Yeah.
While somebody else or the rest of the group is in a different area asking questions, and you see if there's any correlation between what they're asking and what you're getting through the box.
Yeah.
I know we've used it several times. I've used it at Madison, and we were getting some pretty crazy shit.
Yeah.
One of our investigators earlier, right before we did the method, had something happen where she felt like something like tickling her ear, or like her ear pop was hurting or something like that. And I guess I was listening to the spirit box. Mike was kind of just like mediating, watching me, because he knows I can get weird when I'm up in the attic by myself at Madison.
Yeah.
Because I start feeling all this kind of crazy shit, and it starts taking me over a little bit. Not possession, not saying the
No.
P word,
No.
but the sensitivity
Penis.
starts taking over.
Wrong keyword.
Oh. Sorry. Hope this
yeah.
isn't a family show. I'm so used to being crazy on mine.
Yeah, no shit.
Sorry.
I implore people to just say fuck a couple times. Just do it.
That's why I'm here.
I mean, I'm also broadcasting on internet radio, on Karma Radio, and we drop the F-bomb all the time on there. We're radio without rules, so I'm used to all that stuff. But
Yeah.
anyways, the SS method, I know I've used it. It's for the 75% of the time, it's usually an amazing experiment. Actually, have you used that in investigation?
I have once when I had another investigator. I'm always by myself. I have been for like a year and a half now. So it's hard to do it when you're by yourself, because I mean,
Yeah.
Right.
then I'm just a dumbass sitting there listening to a spirit box being like, okay, well, I don't have anybody on the other end. But what I like to do,
Everybody's dropping the F-bomb now in the
because
comments.
the
I'm sorry.
sensory deprivation part of it is what gets me the most. You're not influenced by anything else. When your senses, of course, as everybody knows, they're heightened. When you take one or two away, they're heightened. The other ones are heightened that you still have. So what I like to do is I sit in, like, say I'll sit in the back of a room and leave a tape recorder going in the front of the room and running a spirit box
Okay.
to where I can't hear anything, right? So
Right.
I'm running the spirit box and listening for anything that's coming up. And then I have it timed perfectly because I have a recorder next to the spirit box too. So I have two recorders going and making sure that they're same time marked. And then going back and seeing if there's anything in the other rooms that might be answering when I'm asking questions in this other, because that happens a lot with me. Like I'll hear people walking or noises in another room as soon as I've left it. And I'm like, oh, you motherfuckers, but if I leave this here and like sneak it in the corner where you can't see it, I'm gonna trick you and I'm gonna get you. And it works. It works really well. It's kind of weird, the things that I'll have come through, like full sweep sentences of like people just being nasty or dirty. Sometimes that asylum that I do in the summer, the public investigations, it got pretty nasty with one lady, like, but just dirty, not like mean nasty. It got real dirty with her.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah. And she was like, oh my God. She goes, I work with men, so I'm used to filthy mouths. That was okay, but please don't touch me, as we were walking home. Oh my God. But that I love that method because it's validation on two ends. And when you have that scientific backing, because I think of it as a scientific experiment. Every time I go in, the baseline stuff, I go into a building, make sure that I have everything. I am the biggest fucking nerd. My binder's in the other room, but I mean, I have like charts and data and binders of where the location that I've taken these readings at, the EMF temperature, if I have anything on thermal feelings that I might have in the room. And then the next time I go into that room, I write down the time and he shifts in EMF, because if you're going into a location and you haven't swept that area before, if you go in and your EMF detector is going off, well, you don't know if that was already there before in the first place.
Sure.
So getting baselines for everything is primo, and the nerd in me loves just being like, okay, it's 76 degrees in here today.
That's very cool.
I almost shot coffee right out of my nose.
Not coffee. At least it wasn't whiskey.
Yeah, right. I do have to drive home, but that sounds amazing. A lot of people saying "fuck." That's awesome. Thank you.
It's fucking awesome.
But I'll go ahead and ask you this question. Somebody earlier asked, have you ever felt something and then received and I think you already answered that. You received evidence proving what you felt was something.
Who did?
I think Mike answered that earlier. Didn't you? Did you have that happen to you?
What was it one more time?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I can't remember who it was. Somebody had asked, I think it was Sunshine. Have you ever felt something and then immediately got evidence?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like you'll walk into a room and you're like, this doesn't feel right, and then like a minute later you'll hear a pop or something.
Yeah.
There's definitely stalking you. I feel like
Yeah.
you definitely have a sixth sense for sure.
Oh yeah. What about you, Kathy? Have you ever felt something and then received some kind of evidential confirmation that what you felt was definitely something that was going on?
I mean, we've had a lot of experiences. All of us have in medicine with that when we're there. Also, other places, because sometimes I see, not like I used to when I was a kid, where I'm actually seeing full-bodied apparitions, but I'm seeing them, and I mean, I connect with them, so I see what's happening. Actually, the energy. Sometimes I can feel energy. I'm not always clear on everything,
Sure.
but a lot of times it's real evident that there's something going on, and sometimes you can feel like there's something bad. I have other experiences of my nursing career. I think people who are nurses long enough can tell if somebody's diabetic or if somebody has high blood pressure. As soon as they walk in, as soon as they're admitted to the hospital, okay, he's here for a start. It's real obvious. So those are the kind of intuitive things that I experience more than. So I deal with a lot of health and energy body kind of experiences more than anything. But sometimes spirits can, or whatever ghosts, whatever you want to call them, they exhibit those types of emotions as well. And then sometimes it's residual energy. I don't know if that answers the question. Does it?
Close enough for me. I mean, it was. Oh, that was great. Thank you. Chris Rowan, he wanted to know, aside from our senses, what is our favorite tool to take into investigation, and what is one you refuse to use? For me personally, I don't think I've ever refused to use anything, because that's the kind of group you do. Go ahead. Yeah. What do you refuse?
I can't use the SB7s in the spirit boxes. That.
Oh yeah.
It's instant migraine for me. I can't do it. Yeah. I can't. If somebody wants to use it, I'm happy to walk away. But it's too loud for. I don't know. Something about that tone is instant migraine within 5 minutes. So I have to refuse to use that one. But that's it.
Gotcha.
People yell at us when I'm doing live investigations for the American Ghost Hunter show or on Paranormal Warehouse. They'll be like, "Turn it down." I'm like, "Stop watching. An investigation."
Yeah, right. I mean, they shouldn't be watching the investigation if they can't.
You don't like the way it sounds, you can go watch Mary Poppins, bitch. They
can turn it down on their phone or their TV or whatever they're watching it on. Yeah. So
or they could just turn it all together. Don't make no difference to me none. But my God.
Yeah.
I hate it because people that's part of what people like watching, or the interactions that you have. And so I have to use it, but it does. I'll be sitting there at a certain point and they're already talking to me, so I'm getting flooded with what they're saying. And I'm just like, so along with the, I'm getting the from all of them. And then it coming through the box too.
Yeah.
And it's just overwhelming. And then I have everybody in the comments talking shit, trying to be like, "I don't want the spirit box." Well, then come investigate yourself, damn it. I am not your puppet.
Right. I don't think there's ever been, there's certain technology that I tell people maybe to sway away from. there's certain millimeters that, or not millimeters, EMF detectors. Millimeter for sure. That's one of the better. Really weary about the K2 just because I know they're so super sensitive to anything.
Yeah.
They're any kind of fluctuation. It could be from a phone. We've picked up trucks driving by. I mean, any kind of radio interference.
Our fire system.
Yeah, anything. I mean, just you have to be so very careful. I mean, I'm not saying not to buy one.
No, the ones that have the shields are much more efficient. Like I can put them up to my phone, and based on the other ones that I've had, actually do comparison side by side. If this EMF detector is going off, but this one's not when it's next to it, that shield is working much better. There's metric. I'm not sure which company it is, but that one, it is so hard to make that thing go off. Like I've had three phones next to it. That people like it on people doing stuff. Next to actual panels, you can't see it behind this. My thing is my breaker box behind here.
I gotcha.
But I got a storm for the unknown. You see.
There you go.
But it won't go off. So when I finally do get readings, and it actually it reads the temperature too at the same time, so it's really awesome. But when that goes off, I'm like, oh shit! Like, it's about to go down. Yeah. There's this doll in the asylum that only goes off sometimes, and it's the freakiest thing. It'll go off for like 5 minutes and then stop, and then not go off for the next like 9 hours we're there.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so I love that one, but again, you have to be wary of what you're doing, and try. If you're not trying a little bit of everything, then you're kind of hindering yourself as an investigator, because you have to be willing to. And like you said, if you don't like it, then you don't like it. Right. You have to try everything once, just to try and find your ground and see what kind of results you can get that correlate with the results you're getting on other devices. I love having everything out at the same time, far enough away, of course, from each other that they're not setting each other off.
Right.
But
that's important.
Having everything and then coinciding with my lizard brain, like I'm like, oh gosh, somebody's in here. I'm like, can you come like right here? I had that meter thing inside of the asylum. I was like, okay, they love touching my hand in here. So I put it up to the meter, and the lady that was on the tour has this filmed. There was like 2 minutes off and on. I'd be like, will you touch my hand, please? And she had it right in front of my hand. I had nothing electric on me. And she would put it near my hand and be like, can you come touch me? And every time after I'd ask, it would start lighting up for like a minute or two and then stop. And I'd be like, can you come and touch me again? And it would do it. Yeah. Like, I love when things coincide with each other, because at that time, Jeremy Jones, all of his paranology stuff in that room was going off.
Wow.
All of it.
That's awesome. That is amazing. Here's a good question for everybody. What are the phobias that might affect you when you're out in the field, if you have any?
Spiders.
I could tell you from my own personal experience, I'm fairly claustrophobic. So like,
that's a big one.
Yeah. Anytime I'm in, especially when it's dark, anytime I'm in a small area, I mean, I start freaking out regardless of what's going on around me.
Right.
So does that amplify any experiences that I'm having, or is it completely in my head because I'm freaking out that I'm in a closed-in space and I feel like everything is just falling in on me?
Right. And then when it's dark, it seems like it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller.
Yeah. There's no concept of space when you're in somebody or a place that's so extremely dark.
Right.
We've been in those rooms before, and especially those tiny, you were talking about Mansfield earlier, like cells.
Yeah.
The prison cells. Those are so cramped.
Yeah.
And then, you're thinking that you're in the dark and they already feel tiny, and you're hitting your head on one thing and trying to sit on the bunk to do, EMF reads or EVP sessions. It's just, I have to do it from the hallway. Like I don't go in the cells.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, you're going to pick up anything that's in the cell anyways. They're so tiny. Yeah. And you're right there.
Yeah. Do any of you other guys, do any of you have any phobias that affect you when you're investigating?
I think the fact that I'm not afraid of anything might be kind of a problem. I mean, I can't tell. I cannot tell you how much shit I get for one being a girl, because for some reason girls still get a ton of shit for being paranormal investigators. but being alone. Now, I understand the safety part of it, that if something were to happen to me, there's nobody to call for backup. There's no emergency thing. You know, I thought about getting a life alert, but, you know, I'm too young for that. Now,
Help, I'm falling.
I'm falling and I can't get up. But the only thing you would ever be able to get with, because I carry, just so you know, so don't ever try and mess with me. I also carry a switchblade attached to a Sasquatch. Like those Livestrong bands. I have it from Broken Bow State Park, the Beaver Bend area where it's Sasquatch hunting grounds. So it's a Sasquatch bracelet with a switchblade attached to it that I can very easily just whip up, and I practice, so don't you be messing with me. But if you ever wanted to freak clowns, I've been on an investigation where I didn't realize that they had like this creepy ass little clown doll, and I almost lost my shit. Like, I'm up for anything, yo. Like, I'll swim with sharks, I'll swim with alligators, I'll grip on the bayou. I'm crazy. Don't put a clown near me because I will cut him. That's not true. I might even just like curl up in a ball. Because I watched it when I was like 4 years old.
Right.
It scared the living shit out of me. I'll be 30 this year, y'all. And I will not walk near open gutters and drains. Like, you know, the storm drains. And do you know how many of those there are in New Orleans? There's lots. I won't walk near them. My ass goes all the way around. So clowns would be the only thing that ever stopped me.
Yeah.
So,
What about you, Mike? Anything that would affect you anything you fear that affects you on a ghost hunt?
Man, the realest fear I got was Pennhurst. We had a security team, and another security team pulled up. I guess it was their first day on the job. There was almost a gun battle. There's some real threats when you're out ghost hunting. A lot of trespassers. And a lot of people with us do carry, you know, but you know, you never know if someone thinks you're someone else, you know, you got to be careful. That's probably the biggest fear I got.
That's what I always tell people. I'm more afraid of humans than I am of ghosts. People are like, aren't you afraid something's going to happen? I'm more afraid of my neighbor than I am of, you know, Poltergeist Pete down the street. Like, humans are sketchy.
Well, I know for me personally, I mean, that you bring up a good point, because I think Kathy and Mike were all there the same night. We were at the House of Wills in Cleveland. Amazing place to investigate. Seriously haunted.
That's phenomenal.
But go outside to smoke. You better be packing. you better be doing a security sweep when you walk in that place. Actually, Patty Mahone, who used to help with the ghost hunt, she would go through with her gun out, yelling at the top of her lungs, "Whoever's in here better get out right now.
Oh my god!
You're gonna get your shit blasted." It's pretty rough in there. I mean, I know Papa Santori, he carried that night. I was carrying that night. We had another investigator from Columbus carrying that night. We were all packed and ready to throw down if we had to, but luckily we didn't. But it's just one of those situations, you know, you got to be careful too with property owners. Some of them don't want you to have weapons. Fortunately, the owner of the House of Wills was like,
I think they know better. They know people need it.
Yeah, he's like, if you want to strap, because that's fine.
Some of the funniest like instances I've had in the paranormal were having the cops, because again, I'm by myself, so it's not like I have a group of people to go through a building and clear it out with me. So especially this asylum, every weekend when I'm there doing the public investigations, I have the cops come out, right? So the first time just one came out because the owner was with us. So there were two men. Andrew, of course, had his gun. That's a guy who owns a place. He don't never go anywhere without that gun. And they're clearing out the building, and all of a sudden the officer's on the left-hand side and Andrew's on the right-hand side, and all of a sudden you see the cop come out with his gun like this. And I went, "Are you okay?" And he goes, "How many more rooms do we have to do? Something just touched me in there." And so I was dying laughing. And Andrew's like, "We just got these last few back rooms to do." He's like, "Can you do them yourself?" And like walked out of the building. So then this last time, there was this guy who apparently he'd only been on the force for about 8 months at this point, which was like 2 weeks ago. So, you know, he's fresh. And this older gentleman who had been there for a very long time. Now, neither of them looked like they could protect me to save shit. Like, but they were so super sweet, but they did not look like they were physically capable of, stopping a meth head from charging at us if anything happened.
Right.
So I was like, y'all can go into the building by yourselves, because somebody had broken into the other side. So they go and clear it out, and that's the quickest I've ever seen anybody clear it out. They both come, and the older gentleman goes, so there are no people in there, but speaking of other stuff, he goes, good fucking luck, and walks off to his car like super fast, like super waddles away, because he's just like, I'm getting out of here. And then the younger guy, the new guy, he was like, if next time you come out here, please make sure that I'm not the one that they come call out here, because I don't want to go back into that building. And he goes, thank you, and shook my hand and walked away like as quick as he was kind of doing a little hustle too, but he was trying to get away. Those cops are afraid of that building, and it's the funniest thing because armed people. What are you gonna shoot the ghost? Right. It's not rock salt. This ain't supernatural, my guy.
Yeah.
Good work. This is funny.
But yeah, I mean, you got to protect yourself in certain places as long as the property owner is okay with it. Right. Obviously you have to have that respect, and there's places we go to. Madison, never had an issue. We love Madison. That's like home. I mean, if anybody even tried anything, we'd be throwing chairs or whatever we can get our hands on. But just to protect the location. But yeah, Eileen Munson. Hello, Eileen. She's one of our biggest fans, and we love her to death. Love you, Eileen. She has a comment question. I have dowsing rods, but haven't had a chance to use them on an investigation. Does anyone here use them? And if yes, do you feel they are more effective than any other tool in your spirit communication arsenal? I personally have yet to actually use dowsing rods in investigation. Kathy, have you used dowsing rods before, and are they effective?
They're effective. Are they the most effective? That depends on the person, I think, and what they like using. I think I'd agree with that. But yeah, they sure do work, and it's a way that you connect with the spirits, connect to your energy, and kind of so channel through you to those rods without actually taking, possessing you or anything like that. But it's connecting to whatever spirit is out there. And if you should definitely try them. I try not to use things in my house though, because my house is more sacred, so I have a special place for all the equipment that's left and kept to the side, because I really liked, and plus I do Reiki a lot of times in my house. Well, just in my family, the others, but it's just like I was going to get a place, and then things happened, and I'm like, oh, glad I didn't do that right away. So I try to keep the energy good around here. So if you want to try them, you may want to try to go out to maybe like the woods or somewhere near your house that or you have a feeling that feels like something's there, and communicate with. That'd be my advice. I don't know. That's how I would try something. That's what I do around here. I know a local location that's on it. We've tried things there first. A cemetery. If you get a feeling when you're going through, maybe you'll know the feeling. Wherever it comes from, maybe you'll taste something.
You taste Cracker Jacks and peanuts, then go there and do it.
Hold on.
If you want to try your, but you have to go on your magical bus with me. That really helps a lot. And
you got to do the magical shrooms first, though.
I'll lose my mind.
What about you guys, Mike, down in Columbus? Have you guys used dowsing rods on investigations, and you find them effective if you have?
I haven't, but it seems like a pretty awesome tool. I'd like to see someone use. I don't know enough about them to really comment. I've seen them on shows. I think they're fascinating. Yeah.
I mean, for me personally, I've seen them used by people that I trust.
Right.
And you saw our session at Madison Seminary with Amber Wellman. We were investigating with them. Mm-hmm. We actually, I think we streamed it live, or we taped it, and then taped it. I'm such an
taped it on your VCR.
Yeah, we taped it. There's a little millimeter camera. No.
Yeah, but, it was a live video.
Yeah, and it was amazing because Chris Rowan is actually who's talking right now and says he can't use dowsing rods. Amber was actually using them, asking them to point to Chris. And anywhere he went into the room, she would just like spontaneously ask, "Where's Chris right now?" And both of them would immediately move to point exactly where Chris was.
And there
So
was even a point where he was behind the wall.
Yeah, like
where
he's
she
like,
couldn't see him.
he was starting to
but
feel
it
weird.
still pointed to him.
Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, but I know there was something like energy-wise that you weren't feeling too great about. You walked out in the hallway, and she's like, "Okay, where's Chris?" And I'm like looking in the room and kind of out in the hallway too. And I swear to God, they pointed right to Chris, was where he was standing out in the hallway. It was unreal. I mean, it counted out. She's like, "How many spirits are here with us in this building right now?" I counted 12. The right one just moved 12 times in and out. And it actually correlated with something else that you guys had heard on an EVP recording or something like the night.
Yeah, I think that the team the night before had gotten 12 in that same room.
Yeah, so it's amazing. Myself personally, I don't trust. Like, I feel like I shake too much. Like, I feel like I'd be controlling them. Like, I don't know, just like, okay, I want a yes, so I'm just gonna like not really know that I'm pointing them to yes, but they're gonna go yes because that's the way I'm pointing them. I mean, it's the same thing for me with the pendulum, but that is something that I do use now, and I make sure I like watch my hand. And I always confirm it by having somebody else ask a question that I don't know the answer to. I repeat the question, and then I usually get a confirmation response.
Yeah.
And I think we got Justin on now. Mr. Justin, how are you, sir?
I made it. Sorry, I'm
You
late.
made it.
You sound so jazzed about that. I made it.
He's like,
I've had a rough couple days, man. I want to play the feel sorry for me game.
Fresh from a softball game, are you?
Practice. Her travel ball team is an hour away.
Oh, wow.
I've been watching too much Sesame Street. The only thing I could think of looking at this panel and him being all down in the dumps is like, one of these things is not like the other. One of these things is sad.
We got to do something about that.
That should have cheered you up. I legit just Sesame Streeted you.
Right. She just serenaded you with Sesame Street.
I just learned something new just now. That's a thing, I guess, right?
At least I didn't Elmo you. Oh my God. Speaking of that, you guys have to listen to that podcast that I did with Gene and David.
Yeah.
Because at the end, and I didn't realize he was still recording, he got me singing to them like Elmo.
Oh, no.
So there's that out there.
Very nice.
I saw your video on Facebook too of you singing Elmo to the baby.
Yeah, but that was to my baby. That was like personal with Gene and David, and they just like put me on blast at the end. It's just like, here you go.
Brother, we got the Mr. Brown on. Why don't you give us a little bit about your origin story, and we'll get you involved here in this little roundtable we got.
Oh, my origin story.
Yes, the origin story. We didn't flash the Marvel introduction.
It's a story that's pretty crazy. If I heard it from somebody else, I would have. It would be like one of those like, that's pretty. Sounds like fiction. So here we go. Origin story. I moved into a house. My mom and dad bought a house in Hillsboro, Ohio, which is in the southern part, about an hour out of Cincinnati, from a local firefighter in town, and he raised his kids in this house, and he got a better new house, a complete farm outside of town, and he was moving out there, and we bought it from him, and everything was good, completely normal house. About a year after that, I heard that he was having marital issues, and pretty sure that's the reason why he ended up shooting himself. His wife was allegedly cheating on him, and he didn't take that well, so he decided to take his own life. And it was strange because right when that happened, like it seemed like that week, my mom's and dad started hearing footsteps go up and down from where the second floor story where me and my brother slept. There's just 2 bedrooms up there.
Yeah.
And my dad immediately thinks that it's me and my brother trying to sneak out of bed. And my mother's like, no, it's not. So one night he hears it. He thinks he's going to go up there to catch us. And we're sound asleep in our bed. Oh, my God. Okay, anyway. So he's like, okay, what's going on? So he has a bout with trying to deal with the unexplained at that point. So it was that kind of stuff. The strange, eerie presence felt in the room, being stared at, noises, doors opening, just the typical stuff, the footsteps and whatnot. So fast forward 10 years, and my mom and dad are divorced at this time. My dad just let the house go to crap. He was working in Cincinnati, and he just didn't have a reason to keep the house, fixed anymore. And he was like dating somebody in Cincinnati. So it's just me and my 2-year-old son at that point. He's about 2.5, and he's just starting, to learn how to construct sentences and have a conversation with you. Yeah. We're upstairs in the bedroom, me and him in the house by ourselves, and we have not mentioned the name of this firefighter to him or years before he was even alive. Okay, before I dropped this on you, I think you've heard about this. So he's talking about a man named John. He was, I can't remember exactly what he said. He said something along the lines, he was playing with a man named John. And I'm like, oh, are you talking about your papaw John? He's like, no, John R. He's dead.
Oh.
And that is like something you would not bet $1 million that you would ever experience in your life, because the firefighter's name's John R. Wow. That's what his name, that's what he goes by. So my mind explodes. I go outside and chain smoke and leave him there in his diaper, like I always tell the story. And it's like a PTSD thing, because it was like my son. I couldn't do anything. I was a first-time dad. I couldn't protect him from somebody or something like that. Like I was like immediately felt defensive, because what if other things come to him and I can't do anything about it, right? So it flipped me to hell out. So that's what got me to the point where all the stuff my mom would bring me up with the ghost stories and all the stuff she experienced in her life. So I thought she was crazy at that point, and she kept on telling me and my dad that, he was back at the house trying to figure out where his kids were. He would go up to the upstairs and discover some different kids in the beds. Yeah. And was very confused. And she explained it like he was stuck in that loop. She would try to remind him what had happened. Remember, you moved out of town to that farm. And he's like, oh yeah. And this is according to her. And a while would go by, and it would start all over again. So it's almost like that show Ghost Loop with Sean Astin in it. Remember that show? Yeah. It's kind of like that. Then my dad died in 2011, and his mom and dad died like 3-6 months before him. And it was at that point where I understood that I wasn't ready spiritually to deal with life after death, sure, and maybe even my own mortality, my own death, because it was kind of like a 3-hit sledgehammer to my face. And so all the shows were out at that time. I figured like, hey, it's about time I, take care of this curiosity I've always had with life after death, all these weird, strange things I've experienced myself, and to deal with my own itch or concern with my own death, my own fear of it, and the questions I had about the unknown. So here I am. Since 2013, I've been, trying to go out there and, do as much research as I could, watch the TV shows, watch the documentaries, read the books, looked online, and here I am. I'm trying to challenge methodologies and, strengthen the paranormal community through, debate, whether it be respectful or not. I don't know. It depends on how people view it.
It always starts out respectful anyways.
Well, what's interesting is a lot of people, the way I view it is it's very personal to them, because it's almost like they're defending their spiritual beliefs. Exactly. And I I think that if you're going to name yourself as a paranormal investigator, you're trying to have to remove yourself from that a lot, but it's hard to. You go out there and you're trying to connect with what you believe to be spirits, disincarnate beings that once lived like we are now. So you're shaping the investigation around that, which is probably the worst thing you could do.
Right.
So you start getting wrapped up in your own feelings and emotions about, your own empathy for these spirits or whatever. It just goes downhill from there. So that's why, if I say your ghost box is bull crap, that's going to incite a lot of,
Remove
emotion.
Justin from feed. I'm just kidding.
You're interfaced at the same team Josh Bender's a part of, correct?
Yes, I'm the
he's
founder and
on
investigator.
He's on my show on the 6th, coming up real quick.
Right.
I just saw your shirt and I was like, that name is familiar. Didn't know you guys were even on a team together. Learn something new every day. Just like
I met him in 2017. He was doing drone footage for a documentary I was doing, and I pretty much got him to start building the custom infrared lights that he builds. And he pretty much let me name his company. He let me have conceptual and creative control, the graphic design control over it. And he's not building them right now, but the orders have been flying
surgery,
in.
Yeah.
You're right. So that's how that all came to be, was through our group.
It's very interesting. I'll have to ask him more about that. I do have to go because I thought it was only going to be an hour long, and Ollie is with T. But I wanted to show you before I go. I got my nerd book. See?
Oh, cool.
Let me do a close-up of that.
I give these to everybody when they come and investigate. They get their own binder. They get their own
my gosh.
binder with loose leaf paper and investigation logs. But
That's awesome.
there's the temperature. You have the thermal, EMF, notable feelings, baseline, start, and active, the different times, the areas in which you do it all. And then there's an active investigation log in the back for people.
So nerdy. I love.
I'm saying. I have like hundreds of copies of these in binders for anybody who wants to use them on investigations. And I have like 30 of these. So imagine carrying this on top of all the equipment by yourself.
Right.
Woo, girl. I get such a good
digital
workout.
recorder is hard enough to carry around.
Right.
On a binder. Wow. But that's awesome. I mean, that's, I always think about that, and I'm like, that is a great procedure to use when you're investigating, so you can document everything.
Yeah, and it's easier to do it when you're not like filming for something, or doing something for a documentary, things like that. So it's a lot easier when you can just take your time and go in like a place like Madison Seminary. If you have like all day, girl, I'll send you these files that I made. You would nerd out. You would have so much fun just sitting there being like, Kimmel, excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
You
get different color highlighters for different meanings, and
girl, shut your mouth.
I see you.
Literally everything.
The color codes.
I do.
I love color coding shit.
But thank you so much for having me on, Goose. I had so much fun talking with you guys tonight, and I'll be having you guys on my show at some point or another again.
Yes.
We need to have a longer conversation than last time. We also need to settle the Star Wars debate.
Oh, that can get dirty and ugly real quick.
Oh, yeah. That's why we're going to put it on World Star. Good night, guys. Thank you so much.
Yep, you bet. Thanks, Ashley, so much.
Of course. Bye, y'all.
Bye. Have a good night. All right. Hey, Heisenberg, if you're on and you can get to your computer, why don't you sign on, buddy? I can get you on now. If you're listening, he's probably got daddy duty right now.
He's eating a sandwich, dude.
Yeah, he's in his warm Pepsi, room temperature Pepsi.
He needs a glass like this.
Yeah, that's a nice glass.
Pepsi warm.
Yeah, he will not drink it cold. He does not put it in the refrigerator. He drinks it room temperature, right off the shelf.
He prefers it that way.
We give him a lot of shit for that.
Yes.
But great questions, guys, so far. Keep them coming. We still have just under an hour to talk. We're having such a good time. And now we got Justin on. I lost my train of thought. Share the show. Let's get a few more people. What's that?
There was a question on here, I thought, before Kimmel came on and everybody wanted to.
Oh, yeah. I was
say
like,
hi to him.
Kimmel, yeah, it's the Kimmel show now. Great. No,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Adam Kimmel, everybody.
He said hello. Eddie Penn says he likes warm beer. That's disgusting.
Oh.
Actually, Guinness, you have to drink room temperature. That is the way we do it.
I don't like cold beer, so.
I did see a question. Has anybody, I forget how it was worded.
Was it a long one?
It was something. Has anybody ever had a dream of a location after
Oh, yeah.
they investigated or prior to? I know for me, I've had both. And I can't say it's really precognition because it was about Madison. We had scheduled investigation, and for about 2 nights before we went, I was having like constant dreams about things that were happening at Madison. Some of them were just porch talk. Some were just the back patio and just chilling out and something weird going on inside. But
it's easy to tell if it's precognition if you didn't know you were going there before, right?
Right. So it's definitely not precognition. Just anticipation probably. Like I'm excited. We're gonna have.
Or if it's a place you've never been before and you see it, and then it actually looks like that when you get there.
Yeah. I could say that sort of happened to me at. It was a couple nights before we went to Prospect Place. I had only seen the portions that they've shot on TV. Obviously, the attic where the supposed satanic worship happened, which is hearsay. I don't know what happened up there, but there were certain rooms that they don't show. Certain rooms that don't get the same kind of hoopla on the TV shows that I actually found more active than what they were showing on the TV shows. But I was having dreams. I had a dream about the picture. Oh, it was on the second floor. I believe it was the Adams bedroom, perhaps. It was a picture of the Mrs. Adams just hanging on the wall in this room. I did have a dream about that picture, which I thought was pretty weird.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
I have an interesting. It's not the same thing. If you want me to add,
yeah, absolutely.
The last investigation we went to was Octagon Hall last month, and our post-production meeting, there was a lady that the psychics and I were picking up on, and we actually saw a framed portrait of her going through the photos. And when we went there, we definitely checked out her photo. And what was strange was in the hotel sleeping after the investigation, when you're in between dreams, you dream something and you kind of go into a dark space and then you dream something else. Well, in that dark period, a woman spoke my name, and it was like I woke straight up and I'm like, hello. It was weird. It seemed a little bit anomalous, that's not what typically happens in my dreams. You don't get woken up by someone speaking your name through the darkness of sleep. And I asked myself, was it something from that location, or was it something from the hotel? It just seemed strange. So it happened in my sleep right after the investigation.
Weird. That's pretty cool stuff. What about you, Kathy? Have you ever had a dream? Because I know you're more of a sensitive level than I am, at least, per se. Have you ever had any precognition going into an investigation, like dreams or any kind of visions before you went into a location?
Well, I've had, I do astral project a little bit. It's not something I discuss a lot, but I call it astral projection. But really, I'm here. I'm not actually somewhere else, but I'm with my body, but I'm not totally with my body, if that makes sense. And sometimes I can go through places and actually, because I do a lot of house cleansing remotely.
Mm-hmm.
I can't always go to California to cleanse somebody's house or Nevada or wherever they live.
Right.
So sometimes people will ask me, and so I don't know these people. So what I'll do is I'll say, well, give me some time to navigate through your house, and I'll check it out. And that's what I do. So I do a lot of that. So I think I don't know that that's really precognition. It's just more remote viewing kind of thing, or even because I do Reiki and I use the distance symbol, I think that's where I really got the no past, no present, no future symbol of Shonan. When I started using that more, I started finding that I was going through a portal and I was able to connect more with, I mean, it was just amazing. And now I have to use the symbol to do that. Some experiences I had at Lilydale too with remote viewing. So remote viewing, yes. Precognition. I have a friend, my friend Tina. I used to think about places before I go there, which is another, I guess, form of remote viewing. There we go again. And she was also trying this. We would play games together, trying to, this is really cool, something that you can do if you want to try out something new. She would do something and then I would try to read what she was doing at a certain time of the day. And I would do the same thing for her. And that's, just something, it made us a little bit closer in some ways.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun. Well, she tried doing that when we went to this Bel Air house one time. And she saw this doll, it was like a black doll. And she saw this thing and she described it to me. And when we went on the second floor, there it was above I think it was a fireplace or a ledge or something that they had there. The doll was sitting there exactly like she described. So it's just amazing how we can travel and the things that we are capable of doing. Do we always get it right? Absolutely not.
Sure.
That doesn't mean, as I was told, John White told me once, he says, that doesn't mean that you're not somewhere. You may be trying to go somewhere. You may be trying to travel somewhere else. Through a portal, through your mind, whatever you want to call it. I don't know, just through consciousness, by expanding your consciousness, we'll say it that way.
Sure.
And so he told me, he says, you are somewhere. You're in someone's house. And I also had an experience when I was with a friend. We were doing a house investigation. It was actually with Tina, another Tina. And I told the guy, I said, before I came here, I had visions of your house. But I knew that where he was located, it was the newer section of this town, and there's no way it could be his house because I saw an old country house. I don't want to take too much time, but it's really kind of interesting because when I got there, I told him about it. I says, it's the weirdest thing. I knew that you had this house. I said, but that's all I could see. And he says, well, my grandparents live here, and you're describing the farmhouse that they lived in. So it says, you can't always get the connection, but sometimes if you throw it out there, and then the mother also agreed. The mother came in and said the same thing. So those kind of things happen. I get a lot of those kind of things, but precognition is different. I don't know if I really had much with, I've done a lot of looking, trying to connect. This maybe not really precognition. Precognition is when you have a dream about something and then it happens. And I don't know. I have to think about that one. But those were interesting things that happen, and a good way for you to research with your friends through your different, your different senses, because you can look at taste and scent and all of these things. And if you're good at imagining things, you may pick up some of what your friend is thinking if you have that psychic ability.
Yeah.
Just thought I'd mention that.
No, that's amazing. That's really interesting. Speaking on the friend subject, Shelly, hello. Miss you.
Hello.
She had an interesting question. Have you ever felt that you knew someone the first time you met them? How about you, Mike? Has it ever happened to you meet somebody for the first time and it just feels like there's like an old connection there that you already felt comfortable with?
Oh, 100%. There's some people that just give off the vibe like I've known them my whole life and I've only known them a few days, or it's strange, but sometimes people just click like that.
Yeah, I've had that happen before too. I mean, I felt it with a lot of the Mad Crew, meeting them, the volunteers for the first time. Just like, it's probably because we shared the love for the building. It was just already, that connection was already there. But I felt that with Denise, Shelly, everybody. I just sat down on the porch and we just had like natural conversation, like we've been friends forever. Right. And it's interesting to Tony and Kathy, the first time I met you, I wouldn't say I'm shy, but it takes me a little bit to warm up to people sometimes. When I met Kathy and Tony at Madison for the first time, it was like I'd known them forever, and we had talked on Facebook before. But that first meeting face to face there's always a little bit of awkwardness.
Yeah.
You got to put the face to the words that you see on Facebook or the pictures, but that's definitely happened for me before, and I'm not really sure where that comes from. Is that something that's is that sensitive, like an empathic thing? You just pick up on a connection with somebody, or
I don't know.
I'm sorry, Denise. Go ahead.
I actually had that with Andrea Perrin, of all people. I had been super nervous before she came on, and I was like, all day I had the jitters. And like as soon as she came on the video, it's like I saw her and I was like, oh, it's just her. I know her. And I was totally relaxed.
Yeah.
And I texted her after the show, and she said, I know this is going to sound crazy, but I feel like I know you already. She said, I feel like we've known each other before. And I was like, I know, I said the same thing.
Which is really strange, because I had the exact same conversation with her over text after the show.
Yeah,
because
it was crazy.
I don't know if it's the way she talks, the way she just describes things, but when she's the first person that I've actually talked to on the phone before like setting up the interview. Like you need to call me. We need to talk about what's going on, just to get to know each other. And we're talking about potato salad. That's why the first question was, well, what makes your potato salad so wonderful? But it was just such a natural, laid-back conversation, and it just an automatic connection, and I just felt like I knew her.
The human
I definitely
brain,
want her to come to Madison.
Yeah,
the human brain is really good at picking up patterns, especially when you got their face there.
Mm-hmm.
The eyes, the mouth, the mannerisms, the body language. The brain is super good at picking up patterns that they, and body language that they not only connect with, but they've seen before, that they relate to or not relate to. So you definitely want to consider how the brain perceives all those type of things about people.
Sure. What were you about to say, Kathy?
I was kind of going to say the same thing that you just said, Justin, that there are some things that do happen, and if something seems familiar, I don't think neuroception is the right word, but we do have a way of identifying that. Maybe aneurysm or the tone of voice, something. One thing that we feel is that if you feel safe around someone, we can pick up that energy. It's a love energy that's just amazing. But then there are weird things that happen as well. And I talk about this a lot when I met my husband. The first time that I saw him, this was somebody that I had seen in my dreams. Damn it. I'm telling you. I looked at him and I said, holy shit. I'm in my mind. And I came home and I said, Mom, I just met this guy that I'm going to be with the rest of my life. And no, seriously, this happened to me. I'm so damn lucky that we came together. And then we're so unfortunate to have met each other sometimes, but it's pretty damn good. And I hope anyways. So for me, it and so, those are things that happen. And the weird thing about it is that most of the people I know that I've been friends with a long time are like that. My friends who have passed, and our friends, Michelle Bellinger is one of those people that we've known, we think, from previous lives. I feel like really I feel like there is some evidence out there that proves that we have had previous lives. And I think that the energy recognition, I don't want to keep going on, but maybe from that as well. If not from identification with others that our brain is making, people that we also have a strong association with.
I've also, to add to what you said, I've also heard about DNA has certain vibrations, whether it's genetic or not. It puts out a signature vibration, and like she was talking about past lives, and reincarnation. There's a lot of people that doesn't have a speck of Native American blood in them, but they feel like they connect with that culture, and I believe that their DNA closely vibrates with that type of genetics, spiritually. And I think that you definitely want to take a look at that. I think ancestral spirituality and things that kind of go outside of that is something really cool to find evidence of.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's actually a good question in and of itself. Because I've always felt a deep connection with Viking culture, with Astral paganism, and it took me a while. I finally did some digging. I took the DNA test, and lo and behold, I do have that 10% that that 10% DNA that kind of connected me, and I got super excited. But yeah, so
I can wear a sword and a shield now.
Yeah, exactly. I can take an axe to work, and nobody can say anything because you know what? It's my religious belief. But no, that's a good point. You just you witness different kinds of culture. You get hooked on something that interests you, and you start reading and researching that culture, and you feel a connection.
History resonates with people like us very easily.
Yeah. Denise, do you have that with? Have you ever felt that you have a certain specific culture that you identify with?
I don't know if it's a specific culture, but I definitely feel like I lived through the Great Depression. No. I know it sounds weird, but we'll look at pictures and it just seems very familiar to me. And I also have all of the, the traits that people developed throughout that time, not throwing anything away and just things like that. I think that I definitely lived through the Great Depression, but
were you raised by a grandmother or a grandfather?
No.
Interesting.
I agree with you.
And my parents are not that way. They, if we don't need it, throw it away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. My parents were just, if it's broken, just throw it out, get a new one.
Right, exactly. And I'm like, oh my God, it's still good. There's still parts you can use of it.
Then part of me thinks maybe they were that way because they could. They were able to do that. When they were growing up, you couldn't do that. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
They had to save and pinch pennies and use something and fix it over and over again until it was either completely dead and you had to replace it. But yeah, that's interesting. What about you, Kathy? Is there
I
any
wonder
specific...
if that's possible, Denise, that your parents were they maybe poor at one time or struggling at one time? They must have been. And if that happened before they had you, or if it happened during the pregnancy or something like that, it was happened before they had you. A part of their DNA is in you, and that what Justin was saying about that vibration of DNA, your DNA coming from them, you can go through whatever trauma has been in their past life too. So it's possible. I'm glad to have met you because the dollar store is amazing. I get all kinds of cool. Thanks to you. And because you taught me how to save a dime, and, and enjoy it. And especially you couldn't get around very much. It really came in handy. So thank you. I think you're right on. I see what you do. I see how you are, and you're not just resilient, but you're also very creative with the things that you do. So I admire you very much.
Thank you.
What about you, Mike? You look like you wanted to say something. You identify with any particular culture?
So there's actually something very scientific about what you're saying. They've done a lot of experiments. If you shock a rat and if you give it a stimulus and then you shock the rat and it forms a bad idea, when that rat has offspring, if you do the same stimulus, the offspring will kind of show the same kind of reaction even without the provided shock afterwards. So it still kind of remembers somehow.
Genetics is the genetic memory.
There's something passed down genetically, somehow fear and knowing that something bad was supposed to happen even though it didn't. like that. There is scientific backing behind that.
For survival, definitely. But I would be more interested in seeing things like what Denise was saying. It doesn't pertain. Well, what she was saying actually did pertain to survival too.
Yeah,
maybe
absolutely.
it all like leads back if you just reduce it down. Maybe it's all about how you perceive your own well-being and survival.
Yeah.
I gotta go back. I don't know if this is a joke question, Bill Davis, but it is kind of funny. It's not funny because of what's going on in the world today, but it is also kind of funny. Oh, that's the wrong one. You know what? I should just let you do this like I told you to. Pushing buttons, you know. Bill Davis wanted to know if he felt like the end times were coming. There it is. With this new awakening. Or as actually Andrea was talking about this, she was calling it the paradigm shift.
Yeah. Yeah.
You guys feel like this is gonna sway?
I do not. I feel like there's constant energy shifts, but I don't feel it's even no more significant than any other. I feel like the media would like you to think that. There's a lot of influence that like you to feel and think that, but I don't.
Yeah. I think things will definitely be different, but at the same time, like he said, you know, when the Spanish flu happened, they didn't have Facebook and Twitter and you know the news like that, so it wasn't, you know, as right there in your face as this is. And I think that, you know, if people just step back and calm the fuck down a little bit, I think they'll realize that we're okay and it's not the end of times, and things might change, but they might not all be for the bad. I think that things might change for the good.
Yeah, I agree, and I do agree too. I just, you know, during the time of the Spanish flu, they weren't bombarded with constant social media updates on all the horrible atrocities, you know, across the globe, and you know, the United States. I mean, does one thing lead to another? How does COVID lead to the Black Lives Matter movement? I don't think they're really two separate issues. Just happen to be happening at the same time. And because we're so connected to social media, we're just constantly barraged with it and just bombarded.
Right.
You know, it's hard.
And they're both very important, but that doesn't mean that having those two things means that it's the end of days. You know, like just shit's gonna change. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, like Justin was saying, if you go back through history, there's always something bad happening somewhere.
Well, you made a point. There, it's strange that protests only spike when certain events happen. Like it's really herky jerky. Like you would feel like if you felt like you needed to protest against racism or some type of oppression, it would be so much a part of your life that you would like prioritize it around your own behavior and what you did on your free time. It's not kind of like, oh, we're all going to go out there and like throw our signs. It's just very strange behavior through my eyes as I view it, because I feel really strongly about things like the paranormal, spirituality, education. I do it every day, you know. I just don't do it when I'm provoked to do it.
I mean, and honestly, people might be doing it every day, but that's not what we're shown on TV. You know,
that's a good point too.
So there's negativity going on in the world. There's people dying from a horrible disease. Let's roll with the negativity and continue to show everything else that's going on.
Exactly. And there's so much positivity. And I think if people just look for that, then they'll realize that we're not, you know, it's not the end of days. We're okay.
Yeah, agreed. Peggy Goodell had a question. Do you investigate a place during daylight hours as well as nighttime? Seems to me that you would get different results, residual especially. Have you found that to be true? For me personally, I believe if a building is haunted, it's going to be haunted during the day or at night. I mean, I know probably Denise could, you know, working at Madison during the daytime, and other people have had amazing experiences and seen things and heard things that are ridiculous during the day while they're just going about their volunteer work.
We don't ever intentionally investigate during the day, but it turns into that sometimes because, you know, shit's happening all day, every day.
Right. What about you, Mike? How do you feel about that? Do you feel that there's a difference between investigating during the day or at nighttime?
You know, some places it always differs during the place. I think some places they have reoccurring things that happen at certain times. I know a certain building at 3 a.m. the door closes downstairs. You know, but that doesn't happen any other time. but also some places are just way more active during the day. You know, I don't know why, but it just depends on the place for sure.
Yeah. What about you, Justin? Do you think there's a reasoning or a difference between investing the day or nighttime?
Yes, there is. I'm gonna try to make this answer quick so others can respond. A lot of people, it's quieter during the night in some area, and most times less traffic, less people out moving around. You can kind of control the environment better. You may be able to hear phenomena that's subtle and quiet more at night. But I think paranormal, for the most part, is in a strange emergent phenomena, and maybe a lot of times it's either spontaneous or it interacts and emerges from some type of psychic basis, like your intelligent interaction with a location or with spirits. First, it doesn't matter if it's day or night, as long as you have that going on, that recipe, that cake that you're making for it to emerge or to spontaneously happen. That doesn't matter, day, night. But there are studies to suggest that during the night, the brain waves drop into theta, a lot easier. And, you're trying to wind down from the day, you're watching TV, out of the corner of your eye, you see a shadow figure in your hall. That may have something to do with that time of the day, the way the brain operates during light hours and day hours. So it's such a complex question that we need a lot of research.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's the thing. My answer is just basically off of my experiences. I've been in Madison, or I've been in other locations during the day. I've been to Prospect Place during the day. I had a lunch with one of the volunteers there. Me and a couple members of my group, just spontaneous. She knew his gentleman's name was Aaron, who was a volunteer at the time. Spent a lot of time there, and he just invited us to come during the day and have some lunch, which was a really cool experience. I'm like, yeah, Prospect Place during the day, just chilling out in the parlor and having lunch. I'm in. But
I'm sorry I interrupted you.
Yeah,
but it reminded me of something that you ever have the investigators say, you get more interaction when you're just talking and goofing around.
Yeah, we say that all the time.
The locations are like they're zoos and they want you to jump through hoops. But if you're having a conversation, maybe they want you to pay attention to them, or they want to be included in the conversation. Right. That's it.
Right. Yeah. They're like, why aren't you paying attention to me this time? You always pay attention to me.
I think that's what Goose was about to say. Like they were just chilling out, having lunch, and then
I mean that basically where I was going with that. We were actually, he had Aaron, the gentleman there, had 2 EVP recorders that he kept, and he'd logged every EVP that he's ever captured. And he's going through timestamps and playing these back for us, and some of them were absolutely amazing. That these are just during the day, nobody's there, and it's Trinway, Ohio, so it is kind of close to the highway, so there is traffic and you can hear motor engines and whatever, but he's playing these amazing EVPs for us. So everything's going just normal. We're just chit-chatting, eating lunch, and he had to leave for a second, and we started just kind of walking around the house, and I had more activity, I think, in that 45 minutes of just wandering the house during the day than I've had any time I've been there at night. I was kicked in the back of the knee, something literally pushed me and in my knee forward. I looked back at Julie, who was with me, and she's like, wasn't me. I have no idea what's happening. We heard a female talking very loudly. It wasn't Julie. She was right with me. And like I said, Aaron was not in the building. They're just amazing stuff. So, I mean, for me, it's been kind of back and forth. I mean, I don't have any explanation for it, but I do definitely think, I think during the day, you could definitely experience things.
Well, plus I think too, when you're just there during the day, I swear that they do not want to be captured on camera or anything else. You know what I mean? So when you're just there, just having coffee like we do, or you're having lunch or whatever, you don't have anything to document what you find. So they're like, oh, I'm going to make all this noise. I can't do anything about it. I swear that's why cameras die first at Madison. As soon as the camera dies, then stuff starts happening.
That's what I was saying. A lot, Madison Seminary, all these other places, people go there. If someone came to my house and bugged me every day or every weekend to talk into the recorder or do whatever, I'm not going to do it after a while.
Right?
You know?
Yeah. Actually,
Yeah.
one of my origin stories that I tell every once in a while. I went to Ohio Wesleyan University like for a semester of college, like my big 1 year living away from home right after high school, and I was friends with. I was in the music department. I was studying vocal performance, and a lot of the guys in vocal performance were members of the Chi Phi fraternity. And I'm thinking, I was always anti Chi Phi or anti fraternity, all that kind of stuff. But these guys were really different. I mean, they're very open-minded, really cool, laid-back guys. I'm like, I'll check this place out. Maybe this is something I can get into, a group I could belong to and feel comfortable with. And their fraternity was the only fraternity that was basically away from campus. Like there's fraternity row campus, and then way over here is the Phi House. It was this old house donated by people that had funded the school to be built in the first place. I believe their name were the Sanborns. And there was this legend that Mrs. Sanborn actually fell down the stairs of the Phi House when they lived there. It was an old mansion, and broke her. There's this long story. She broke her neck, died at the bottom of the steps. Every night at like midnight, you could hear a big rumble coming down the steps, and and then just weird things would happen around this time of night. And I actually witnessed that. It was like another thing that kind of continued to light the fire of me wanting to get into investigation. But it's just one of those things. I don't know. I definitely was residual haunts. I don't know. I mean, Justin, do you believe there's a difference between residual or intelligent haunts? I mean, do you classify them that way?
I think you should never classify anything as black and white, and it's such a unknown, misunderstood phenomena that we're trying to grasp. I think. Let me answer it directly. There is such a thing as residual phenomena. Okay, it just happens. It emerges out of the environment. We are not sure why yet. We have all these theories. We may be onto something, but I think some very talented psychics can interact with that energy. I've seen it happen. I've been a part of it, and it's not something normal, but I feel like it's okay. The analogy is you're watching a movie being played, but if you can inject yourself into that virtual reality style, psychics do that. I mean, Kathy spoke of astral projection. Okay. If astral projection is possible, why can't you interact with an energy that just spontaneously emerges and plays out as if it's being relived or remembered in the environment, stored there? I think it's very possible that a residual type phenomena can become emergently intelligent depending on the consciousness or the person interacting with it. But
that's kind of cool. So we should probably call it a play instead. For everyone else, we just sit there in the audience and look at it. Somebody like Kathy can get up on stage and interact.
Yeah, I want people to expand the possibilities of this.
Yeah,
that's cool.
A little story about that, because I had purchased some things just at an antique shop for food, whatever, for Madison. And there was this one table that there was this old man standing at this table. I would see him all the time. I finally put it in my garage because I knew that one time this guy was going to turn around and start looking at me. And it just totally freaked me out for some reason. I'm like, we'll give it to Madison. That's where.
Thanks, Kathy.
I mean, there was nothing wrong with him. At Madison, it would have been okay, but when it's in your living room, this guy, and what out was I put a tea set that I also bought on this table, and he kept looking at the tea set. So if he was interacting with that tea set, and it looked like it was residual, I just knew that one of these days he was going to turn around and laugh. So you don't always know if is it really residual? I mean, sometimes you feel that it is, but how do you know that it's really residual?
You don't. And
Right.
if you look at it a scientific way, if it's temporal, if you're looking at something residually that deals with time slips, time phasing in and out or whatever, then you could start to think that if it's temporal, then you can start feeling like maybe we phase into that time momentarily, and you are seeing it, but it's not seeing you because of the mechanics going on. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So it just depends.
No past, no present, no future.
Right.
They show now.
Right.
Simple. So it totally makes sense. Yeah.
Well, and Kathy brings up an interesting question too that's often asked of me from people who don't really investigate but are like always interested in it, is in the question of, do you believe in object attachment? Because that's kind of almost the same realm of residual haunt activity. Personally, I mean, we've had some experiences with residential cases where it seemed like all the activity was focused around an object brought into a house, or an heirloom passed down from family members, that type of thing. Is that something that you guys believe is a legitimate theory?
Totally.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
We've done research at museums with haunted items. It's fair to say, that it is.
Mike, with Dark Alley Columbus, have you guys ever had any kind of residential cases where, you had a haunting based around an object that was brought into the home?
The one thing I can think of is Jeff Fent with the bricks from the Emmett house.
Yeah.
I still wouldn't take one of those and put them on my house because of all the like everyone that says they've taken one have had a fire of some sort in their personal lives. I believe in it. I would never take one of those bricks. If you don't believe in it, you can take one of those bricks and chance it. There's something to it. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I believe in it.
Yeah.
That reminds me of the tree at Willow's Weep.
Where's that?
Willow's Weep. It was just on Discovery. Dave Spink just bought it from Brenda Johnson. It was the most haunted house in America in the History Channel that released, I think, late last year. They have a willow tree in the front yard, and everybody who has desecrated it or tried to trim it or made fun of it was ended up in an accident or ended up being really badly hurt. And the first time I've ever been touched was under that tree taking B-roll, and something grabbed me on my shoulder and pulled me, and it was so profound. I was
Get
like,
away from my tree.
It wanted me to know that it was real. Like, it's like Mike said, there's something going on, man. with this, with trees, with objects. It could be any object, anything.
I find that kind of sad though. Like, hopefully that they're not just stuck with that. Like, when I die, I don't want to be stuck with a table and like moved wherever that table goes. You know what
Denise,
I mean?
Okay, Denise, hear me out.
Okay.
I don't believe that. I believe what's happening is this thing that parapsychologists are trying to educate people on, is a thing called psychokinetic energy, PK, or telekinetics. So what that is energy that is created by an agent of the psyche. It could be living or not. So poltergeist, for example, is PK. It's a living agent type phenomena. But if our consciousness survives death, then PK could be a non-living agent type phenomena. So if an object is tied to PK, you're looking at a very large spectrum of phenomena. So it's not actually their soul being trapped into something or whatever, but it's some fragment or some manifestation from a psyche of a living person that's imprinted upon it.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
That makes me a lot happier.
Okay. Yeah.
You're not going to be trapped in a table after you.
Right.
Necromancer in a high tower trapping souls into books. And
like, if that was the case, we should be investigating like landfills and shit instead of, like your kids just throw away your table that you're connected
knock yourself
to.
out. Let me know how that goes.
To that, we, consciously we are everywhere, after death. So, or after death of the body. So we're everywhere. We're all one, and one with everything. And so that would explain this. yes, we may be here at the table, but we're also other places. And
That's good.
I think we saw that happen at Madison. I think when I was with Goose the one time, I can't remember how it happened, but you were investigating. You're very, like I said, these spirits were just so, they wanted to talk to you. It was incredible. But we were getting spirits I think in different locations. It was the same. Or it was just very strange. I remember something like that happening, and it was in that room with the hole in the floor, if I remember.
Oh yeah.
I believe that the soul is not a singular thing. People like dogma, Christianity, and a lot of other religions want you to believe that when you die, you have this singular, disincarnate, this disembodied energy, self-image. But I don't believe that. Like Kathy just said, you can haunt multiple locations. It's non-local. You're not here or there. It's non-local.
That's very refreshing.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
To a table, you could be in multiple places. Make sure during life you go imprint yourself on things you want to be.
Right.
Whether you want to or not.
Yeah, right. That's funny. Now, it's funny with the object attachment, Denise. With all this stuff being brought in almost on a daily basis to Madison, you guys notice an increase or changes in the activity there?
Oh yeah, and people are always telling us different names, and we have no idea. Adam calls it a revolving haunting because there's always new spirits being brought in, and some that cross over, or some that decide to go to another place or whatever. We brought in a trunk a couple weeks ago, and the team reported that they heard something vibrating, and they went over to the trunk, and the trunk was vibrating. They could feel it. And they said it was weird. It was almost like it was on a train or something. Like it was bouncing real tiny little bounces like that. And it was a trunk that somebody had donated that was from like 1904. So I'm sure it's traveled plenty of miles in its day. But, we always have new things coming. I have a table in the back of my car that needs to go there today, Yeah. We always have new stuff coming in. And so we always have new people coming in.
Yeah. Yeah, that theory I've done. I'm not as well versed on PKE theory as Dr. Brown down there. When I started this thing, I did read some case studies on PKE and its correlation with poltergeist activity, or what as some paranormal investigators call poltergeist activity. And a really interesting case study that stood out was, of course, poltergeist, sort of by definition through the paranormal community, is, angry ghost. It's usually attached to a pre-adolescent or adolescent female. But they did this study of this family that was having what they labeled as poltergeist activity. And they were actually able to measure energy shifts. And this family was going through a pretty deep trauma. The parents were fighting divorce, and obviously you have, an adolescent young girl there who's going through a lot of trauma. And they really determined that trauma was causing these energy shifts. So it was actually the living people themselves that were causing these events to happen.
See, that's fascinating.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy what we can do as living people.
Right.
Well, it challenges the archetypal belief of what ghosts are. And when I was just explaining before, the psyche, these things that are happening with people who are now no longer living, they can happen when we're living. So it's almost like we're trying to split that from living to dead. And now you want to see it. The lines are blurred now, kind of like with the residual and the intelligent. The lines can get blurred.
Right. That's very cool.
Yeah. So I'm getting a message from somebody who's watching but not in on the chat.
Oh.
she just has the general question that people love to ask. What is the scariest location you've been in, and what was the scariest event that happened at such location? So, Mike, let's start with you. You've been quiet for a few minutes. Scariest location, scariest thing that happened.
Let me think. Hey, wait, skip me and come back. Let me think about that.
Okay. What about you, Justin?
Oh, I know the House's Wills is pretty scary. As far as being shot in the face at any point in time, and just the whole recipe of what the F of that whole location. I mean, it's nutty. So that's a scary location. Okay, if you don't say it is, then you're lying. But the scariest thing that ever happened to me had to be my son telling me about the JR guy. That freaked me out so bad, you know. My dad dying freaked me to hell out. Sure. Everything after that's kind of like, nah, you know. Aliens freak me out. That's scary. But, you know, the locations, probably the House of Wills. Now, Hillview Manor was probably a close second.
Yeah.
Waverly Hills Sanitarium, as far as what I got, the information I got empathically from that place, because I set out to try to connect with them because I knew people go in there every day. Why would they want to jump through my hoops? So I purposely made sure that I would connect with what TB patients went through during that time. And boy, did it work. It was like thousands of people going through the news of being told that their life is very finite and they're going to die from tuberculosis, and you need to be prepared for that. Yeah. And I can't describe to you how that feels. It's undescribable.
Wow.
You ready, Mike?
Oh yeah, I thought about it. All right. So the scariest thing for me personally, it was Brindu Mansion. There's a place on the second floor. I don't know what it is about this place. Every time I go there, I feel like someone's trying to possess me. One time I was sitting there. We weren't getting anything the whole night. I was just, we were chilling on the floor. We were just talking. Then all of a sudden, like, I couldn't talk anymore, and I just started to get angry. And I got so angry, and all I could see was red. Yeah. And I was like, guys, there's something going on. We probably don't want to be here, because I was about to snap. I was like, I couldn't explain it, but every time I go there, I have this feeling that someone just wants to take control of me. That's probably the scariest one. And I like, when it happens, I can't really talk. I can't really do anything. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's almost like you're losing control and you can see yourself from outside. I don't like that feeling. Yeah. And I find that very troublesome paranormally.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree 100%.
Yeah. I have had this similar experience. Obviously I talk about it all the time at Madison Seminary. Earlier on, before Adam Kimmel owned it, it was under the old ownership. We were giving public ghost hunt. So it was just like a little impromptu fundraiser for the owners there. And it was actually for Madison. It was kind of a quiet night, and it was earlier on in our public ghost hunt experiences, as far as being tour guides. And it was quiet. There was not much going on, and you can kind of see people getting antsy. And Denise, you know how it feels when it's kind of quiet and people are starting to get a little bit, like,
you feel the pressure.
Yeah, like they're paying for entertainment, like they're paying to be in on the Ghost Adventures TV show or whatever. But we all obviously know that doesn't happen every night.
Right.
But it was that type of situation, very quiet, nothing's going on. And like I said, it was early on in our experiences, and I started provoking a little bit. Bad idea, especially in the attic of Madison.
We've all done it.
Yeah. And through that provocation, it's definitely not possession, but I think through that provocation and that negativity that I was spouting out, definitely gave a window for negativity to creep in. Mm-hmm. And I started absorbing that negativity like a sponge as I'm spouting it out at the same time. And it just kind of took me over to the point where I didn't even realize I was dropping F-bombs. I was like exactly where Mike was feeling. I was, in the red. But at that point, I was already blacking out to exactly what was going on. I mean, I had no control anymore at this point.
Yeah.
So I'm
That's
screaming.
definitely the scariest.
Yeah. I'm yelling obscenities, telling these people, not the guide people, but whoever I was talking to, spirits, trying to get them to interact. I'm telling them to effing come on, and it just I was being pretty belligerent, and I got so pissed off at some point apparently, and I was completely unconscious, not physically, but mentally, psychically at this point, I actually threw a physical punch at somebody next to me because I was getting so pissed off.
That's nuts, dude.
Wow.
Yeah, but I didn't remember any of this. Okay, I remember feeling the pressure of performance, which is stupid in investigation,
Yeah.
and things should just happen naturally.
Well,
and,
it's an expectation. You're only human, man. Don't beat yourself up.
right. But it's in the moment. So I remember that happening and getting a little bit nervous. And then next thing I know, I'm in the hallway at the top of the stairs, and people are like shaking like me back into reality. So definitely, and the last time I was at Madison, that whole event in the tea room on the Civil War side, feeling that darkness around me, and I'm looking straight out the window at the light outside,
Right.
and I couldn't even see that. And then for you guys to confirm that there was a cloud of darkness around me while this was all going on,
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that was the end of the night.
Madison Seminary is an interesting location.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, for sure.
The old lady in the Civil War room was the most interesting to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, you could talk to 20 different people, and they all had different experiences there with different spirits.
Right.
It's crazy. What about you, Kathy? Have you ever, what's the scariest experience you've had?
I think the scariest was when I was a child, because I didn't understand why I was seeing all these people. And some of the things that I saw were crazy. And some of them were outside the windows and pounding on the windows. And it was really freaking scary.
That's not good.
No.
But I got rid of them. I ignored them. And they were screaming, I don't think she can hear us anymore or see us. And it worked. They were in my face. But I've had so many experiences beyond that where I've identified with things, and I don't know. I think that's all I can really think of. Mainly the worst experience is the fact that thinking that I could possibly ever experience things like that is what keeps my shields up so high.
Sure.
I really don't ever want to be seeing things all the time. My daughter, I shouldn't go into that, but I know people who are there, and that's it's not a good way to live all the time, because you're having to chase things away all the time.
Yeah, you end up having to go into a bubble and be a hermit for a few months at a time.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, that would be scary.
Well, with a few minutes left, what about you, Denise? We'll wrap it up with your scariest experience ever.
It was honestly pretty much exactly the same.
Yeah.
In the asylum at Madison, we had a Phasma box going, and it said "nice hair," and it was just the girls in there, and we're like, "That's a weird thing to say." Whatever.
Yeah.
A minute later, same voice, "pretty eyes," and I'm like, "What the fuck is this even doing?" And I'm like getting very angry, and I've never been in a fight in my life, like never even punched somebody before. And I was ready to punch somebody. And all of a sudden I had a vision in my head of this doctor leaning down to a girl who had wavy hair, and he was playing with her hair like this. And he's telling her that she's so beautiful, and he's justifying to me in my head, it's okay what I do to them because I tell them that they're pretty. So I fucking lost it, and I was dropping F-bombs, and I'm like, who does this arrogant motherfucker think he is? And I'm screaming, and one of our volunteers had to bring me downstairs and was like, you need to calm down. Like, what are you even going to do right now? Like, the guy's already dead. What are you going to do? I don't know. I was ready to fight him, I guess. But it's just the fact of not being in control of your emotions or what is being shown inside of your head is very, very, very scary.
Yeah.
I haven't had a chance to tell Adam directly yet, but there are bodies of aborted children there.
I have no doubt. How do you know that?
Because I trust my instincts. Me and Missy Vastine were down in the room where the whole legend behind the girl that was buried and they dug. I don't believe she was buried there. I believe that her aborted child was buried there. And I don't believe it's in the floor. I believe it's in that bricked in corner.
Yeah, we tried to break into that one time, but we need to get back in there. And ironically, we interviewed a retired police officer, and he wanted to remain anonymous, okay?
Mhm.
And he told us, I bet if you tore that building apart brick by brick, you'd find bones in the walls.
Yes, you will.
And I've had visions
It's
of
behind
them
that wall,
taking-
Denise. I
yeah,
would bet anything.
Yeah. I've had visions of babies being brought down in the laundry chute, which goes right there into that room next door to that. So
You did. And Kat said, too, the same thing, that it was in that wall.
yeah.
And
It is in the wall.
Look, we had a guy look, but they didn't really. And who knows by now what you'll find, if anything.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, we did take out one brick, but it was like probably about at least probably about 6 feet up.
And they
You're
were
gonna have to take it down.
Yeah.
with the camera with light to try
Yeah.
but you never know. I mean, they were saying that was the space, but well,
Yeah, the space of it doesn't make sense. We, 4 a.m. are trying to Scooby-Doo, and we're looking outside, and there is an alcove out there, and the building does come in a little bit, but it seems like it doesn't come in as much as that wall sticks out.
Wow. Interesting. I never thought about that corner, but yeah.
Yeah.
You haven't watched my documentary, have you? Of Madison Seminary.
No, I haven't, man. I'm sorry. Denise,
something out of thin air. A woman told me that there was something behind that wall. And I said, is there something behind that wall? And it was clear as day. Yes. A woman said, and I know what's behind that wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I believe you 100%.
I do too.
Kimmel.
Take it down, bro.
Right?
Dogs out, man.
Yeah.
All right, crypto heads. It's about that time. Real quick though, I want to go through with everybody. I know with the whole COVID thing and everything going on in the world, not much is going on, but there's still some activity happening. Start with Denise. Anything coming up in Madison? Events, public hunts. I mean, I know
I honestly don't know. I'm not sure. You just have to follow the Facebook page. We always put stuff on there whenever
follow
we
Madison
can do
Seminary,
something.
or follow the Mad Crew because it's the Mad Crew page because it's there too.
Yeah, it's fun.
There'll be something coming up.
Yeah, I know there's public.
Yeah.
What weekend is MadCon again?
September
19th.
19th.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Yes, it's September 19th. And that is definitely going on. COVID is not shutting that down.
Right. We refuse.
Kathy, do you have anything coming up, or are you pretty much on hiatus until all this junk blows over?
Well, I may do some readings out at Madison, with a little bit of distancing, maybe a mask or something outside. I don't know. I'd like to raise some money for MadCon. Not a lot. I don't charge very much, so it's just money for MadCon. And then for MadCon, I'm not sure. It depends on how things are going. But if we don't show up, we discussed that we will still donate the money that we would have spent on that either way. So they're going to get their money from us, and as long as we have it, and we're going to try to make that as well. So we hope there's hope, that we will be around. We're older and we have the risk factors, so we have to be cautious. But really, the numbers don't. We have to be a little cautious, but the numbers don't warrant us yet, being too restrictive. So.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. You got to be careful. Well, thank you, Kathy. What about you, Mike? Anything going on down in Columbus yet, or any investigations coming up?
I know we're saving up some money. I have to get back to my case manager on that one. But with all the COVID stuff, everyone's just super busy too. Everyone's schedules just aren't matching up right now.
Right.
But I'm sure they're saving up for some bigger hunts right now, just because we usually try to go once a month. And unfortunately, we don't have too much to report on that right now.
Gotcha. What about you, Justin? Any events or investigations coming up to watch out for?
Yes, this month we're going to the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash. That's 24th, 25th, 26th.
Yep.
That's a big deal for us every year, so that will be coming up. The season 7 premiere from Hillview Manor will be coming up either, if not this month, then next month. I'm probably going to drop the trailer this weekend.
Cool.
We're going to be going to Ohio State Reformatory for a private hunt on August 30th. Old Licking County Jail on Halloween Day, dude.
Oh, nice.
Because they had to shut down that public stuff they had.
Sure.
So we're going to do a big live stream event for that.
Cool.
And I don't think I miss anything, but you definitely want to go check out the website, interfacedeath.net, and follow us on Facebook. You'll get all the updates for everything coming up. And it's good. It's despite the COVID-19 mess, we're trying to do it still.
Good.
Awesome.
Very
And
cool.
as far as our Dark Alley chapter, really not a whole lot planned in the books yet. Just like you guys in Columbus, we're kind of waiting for the whole. We had stuff planned. A lot of it got canceled. We were supposed to go to Old Licking. That got canceled because I don't believe they're doing public ghosts or private ghost hunts at the time yet. I could be wrong on that. I will have to double check. We did get into Shalersville a couple weekends ago. That was an amazing time. But really nothing whole lot planned except for we will also be at the Gettysburg Bash as of right now. I mean,
Nice.
who knows how that will change, but fingers crossed we will be there representing Dark Alley Paranormal and also the Cryptic Paranormal show, of course. So we're looking forward to that. We got MadCon coming up in September. That's going to be amazing. We're going to be a part of that this year. Eileen says, hope Heisenberg is okay. He's okay. He's just got dad duty tonight.
Shelly, I need to go to MadCon. I don't have anything going on in September. I should.
Yes.
You really should, man. That'd be amazing.
It's a good time. I mean, it's for a good cause, obviously, too, but it's a really good time.
Yeah,
And
I don't have an
especially
excuse
now,
not to.
right? Especially now, there's so much negativity, and it'll be so good to just be surrounded by positivity.
I might bring a
friends
pickaxe.
and-
Yeah.
I'll distract Adam. You go ahead and do that. I'm just kidding. He's the one that took the first brick out, so he's not going to care.
All right, Crypto Heads, we do have a guest for next week. Thank you, Denise, for that. We have Cindy Harper from Sweetwater. Is it Asylum? Sweet Springs
Sanitarium.
Sorry about that. Sweet Springs Sanitarium. Sorry, Cindy. I apologize. I gotta bring notes to the show. So we're going to learn about that location and what she does.
Yeah.
I know she's written several books and is very into paranormal history. So that'll be an interesting show. And then on the 16th, Brian Baum, I got to talk to you because you said you were on next week, but I'm pretty sure we scheduled it for the 16th. He will be in studio for the his group, Bearded Paranormal. It'll be him and I think 2 of his team members. So that we had him in last year, and it was a great time. So it'll be interesting to have him in the studio again. And Sweetwater sanitizer. Thanks, Wolver. That's why I need notes. Add that to your list, Denise. Just kidding. We gotta make Heisenberg do something.
Right.
It'd be nice if he showed up. No, just kidding. But guys, everybody, thank you for being on. It was a great show. I love doing this paranormal round table discussion. We had great viewers pretty much the whole night. Some great questions. We'll do this again. I'm gonna try to do this like once a month. It seems to go pretty well. Have some different guests here and there. Ashley, thank you so much for coming on. If you're listening, if not, well, we would definitely appreciate you being a part of the show. Tina, we missed you. Sorry you couldn't make it on. We'll have you in soon. She's a member of our team and very talented psychic reader. Great with the tarot cards and a spiritual leader as well. So I think that's it. We'll spook you later, Crypto Heads. We love you guys, and we'll see you next week.
Shelly, I'll see you in a little bit.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
Night.